Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to today's video. Today we are doing live readings. So today's readings are going to be, you see the chart here on the screen. This could be your chart. And this is where I go live and you can book a reading with me. And then you can get your reading here on the channel in real time. So this is what we do here sometimes. Welcome back to anyone coming back. Welcome to anybody who's new. And yeah, that's what we're up to. So this is how it works. You can use the link in the chat to book your reading. Whoever books first gets their reading first. They're 7 minutes long. You can do more than one. And I have a new one. To tell you about that I think is really exciting and fun and different than what we normally do. So normally we do natal or transit. So you get to choose between your own chart, your own natal chart, what makes you tick, what makes you you, versus your transits, which is like the planets moving around your chart and what they're activating. Sorry. Okay, so now I've added a third option, which is the lunar return chart. The lunar return chart is the chart of, it's when the moon comes back to where it started, but it's a 28-day cycle, and it kind of tells us about our emotional themes for that 28 days. So it's a really interesting and kind of cool way to get your chart, and it's like more like the energy report of that period of time, and less like it's just a little bit more feeling oriented. So I think that you guys might like that. So I want to say hey to everyone in the comments. We have Mark. Hello, Mark. I saw you, I think, before the live started. Cora's here. Hello, Cora. And hello to anyone else jumping on who hasn't said hello yet. We are live. We're live with readings, and today's readings, you have a choice. So like I said, there are 3 choices. I'm actually going to put this here. Oh, let's make it pretty. Let's make it. Okay, so that's what we're doing. Oh, I need to pull up a couple tabs. Okay, that's the one. How is everybody feeling today? How are you guys feeling with the energy? I'm feeling very much in the last week or so, just kind of a big energy shift of feeling more, I don't know, hopeful, feeling more excited, hopeful, just kind of stepping into possibility. I tend to really love Aries season though. So if you study astrology long enough, sometimes you'll realize why. You know what I mean? Do most people love spring? Sure. Yeah, most people love spring. But why do I always feel so good during spring? Because the sun isn't just in Aries. It's making a nice trine to several of my other planets, 5 of them. So just the whole Aries season, it's just all these things are illuminated. So you can find those patterns in your own chart too. It's so cool. It's so cool. All right. So while everyone's jumping on, what are we going to talk about? I don't know yet. Yeah, I don't even know what we're going to talk about. I just know that we're going to do readings tonight. It's going to be fun. And these are always like us, just like fun. And, you know, it's crazy how much astrology can like validate something you're going through or open your eyes to something maybe you knew that just reminds you who you are, connects you with your own self. I think we have a lot of content out there that is designed to disconnect you from yourself. We have a lot of stuff people talk about on the internet, especially that is, I think, designed to kind of make us upset at each other. There are like literally bot farms that sit there and try to piss you off and get you to argue with them. Like there has never, I think there's never been a time where we had so much things taking us out of ourselves, you know? Do you guys know what I mean when I say that? Like, do you ever notice when you're listening to content that when you hear it, you're like, ah, yeah, that's right. And it just reminds you of something true and good. And it doesn't make you feel like you're missing the boat. It doesn't make you feel like you have to hurry up and get somewhere you're not. It reminds you of something that really matters, you know? Like to me, I think what really matters is our soul and when we leave this world, what our soul can look back on. And for some people that would be making money. That would be, I mean, my soul is probably going to look back on this YouTube channel and all the people it helped, right? It's my soul is probably not going to look back at my bank account, even though sometimes I feel that. I feel that feeling like it needs to be more, you know, or I feel like feeling like I need to reach a greater place in life or I'm not like I'm behind or I got to hurry up and catch up to everyone or something. But in reality, you know, I think a lot of us are doing just fine if we could de-influence ourselves from some of the influences out there that are, I mean, maybe they just, I don't want to demonize anyone, but they're not trying to help you, your soul, for sure. There's a lot of people and news channels and I mean, even astrologers that aren't necessarily gonna care about you being the best person you can be. And I think that some of this self development content is really just people selling shit, telling you what you need to believe to buy the shit they're selling. You know, it's not even necessarily something they did. And some of it's good, some of it's really good too. But I just think that we can always have a reminder of like who we are, what our soul is here for, what we're going to do after we leave this earth, you know, those kind of things. And it looks like we did get our first reading. So let me say, KJ, do you want to comment so I know who you are? And I will put your chart in. I don't think I've read for you before. And then we're getting started. So for anyone else who wants to book, you can book now, or you can wait and get in line either way. And whoever books first will go first, and we're going to go in that order. So the bookings will continue as I'm doing the readings. And we did get our first person. Yay! I always love it when someone books kind of right away because then I don't have to ramble. Although you know I can ramble. You guys know I can ramble. Ah, Kiera, is that you? I don't see anything in your comment, but I see your comment there. Oh, there it is. Maybe I have a little bit of a lag. Kira's here. Perfect. And yeah, okay, I want to go back to Cora's statement about, sorry, Quora, about not about how much money, but about having financial stability, right? Your soul can look back on that and being like, yes, I created that. I did that in this lifetime. Absolutely. And I totally agree that financial stability, it allows us the space to do the soul-centered things, right? When we don't have to worry. Okay, here I'm going back to you and we are putting your chart in. So I'll be doing that off camera here. And I'm just going to put you as KJ here so I will remember you hopefully. Okay, so let me get your chart up here. And then I got to see what you chose. And then we will go from there. Yay! This is so fun. Okay, so I'm going to take this one off here, just getting everything all set up, everybody. And we're doing the timer now for 7 minutes. For a while I was doing 5, but I just found I would always go over about 2 minutes. So 7 is what it is. And here we go. Wait, oh wait, I need to see. You want natal chart. Okay, so I'll do what stands out to me in your natal. And then of course, you guys can always book more than one. All right. Yeah, okay, so Jupiter in the first house is quite nice. Jupiter moon in the first house, even nicer. So Libra rising with moon Jupiter in the first house, I would guess if you have life problems, it's going to be maybe focusing too much on others sometimes. But I'm noticing because Libra risings tend to kind of live their lives it's like they live from person to person almost. It's like the seasons of life, they could describe those chapters of who they're with, right? Libra ascendant kind of needs the other to define the self. They kind of need to compare a bit. And with that Venus in the 5th house of creativity and self-expression, also in Aquarius, cool Aquarius, conjunct Saturn, also in Aquarius. Yeah, what am I trying to say here? I'm trying to say you might feel like your life is about releasing ways that you have self-censored. Let me know if that feels true. A life theme of letting go of self-censorship. Now that self-censorship might have been for good reason, like especially when you were little, you might have had kind of a controlling parent, or like you can be seen and not heard, or just it does feel like, well, on one hand, the parental figure or parents could have been really supportive of your creativity. It could have also gone the other way, where it's like you're not allowed to speak, you're not allowed to sing, you're not allowed to dance, you're not, like almost like stifled. Let me know if you relate to that. If you don't, that's okay. And then I'm also noticing Mars conjunct the midheaven. This one's a pretty strong placement that shows that you're going to be ambitious, but that maybe it would take you a little bit of time to kind of figure out how to express those ambitions, because Mars is retrograde. And that doesn't mean you can't do it. It just means you'll probably have to kind of fiddle with it a bit throughout your life. Okay, yes. Thumbs up. Oh, did I get let me check the time here. 1 second. I got that time. So let me tell you, or sorry, I'm going to pause. I'll just pause the timer here. Do you want to just confirm in the chat if this looks right, did it look different because I'm using whole sign perhaps? And if you know your ascendant, is it at 21 degrees of Libra? Let me know and I'll wait. I'll wait on that before. Okay, I'm getting a yes. I'm just going to keep going then. I just saw your comment where you say wait, it's AM and then I'm like, what happened? I just started going. Um, okay, so let's keep going. Um, yeah, Mars conjunct the midheaven, ambitious, like I said, but needing time to kind of unravel those ambitions. Now, you could want to do something creative. Why? Because we have Uranus conjunct Vega. Vega is at 15 degrees of Capricorn. It is artistic. Now, this might not be you. It might be someone in the family that was like artistic or very creative. You know, I've seen Vega be singers, I've seen it be architects, any kind of creative thing. But that's significant having Uranus, Neptune, especially with Neptune there, which is also a very creative planet. Right at that degree in the fourth house where it's angular and, you know, squaring over to Jupiter, which is Jupiter squares are good. So that's fine. So I wonder if you feel pressure in your life to like create something and put it out there. Um, yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm taking that off. I'm totally deleting your comment. 1 second. Just because I don't want your date of birth in the chat, but I saw it and I got it. Yeah, that's what I got. So we're good on the timing. Um, all right, what else can I tell you here that's interesting and exciting? Yeah, so like squares from Jupiter. So Jupiter here has a ton of aspects, right? It has like square to Uranus, Neptune, sign-based square to Mars. Moon makes a square to Mars, and Jupiter trines Venus, Saturn. So I would definitely say a big part of your life is like how to put creativity to form. With Saturn in the fifth, sometimes you might think, oh, that's bad for creativity or something. No, because it means you can create it and you can do things in a structured way. You can apply discipline to your creativity. And Venus is kind of has a little bit of a like a rock star energy of like valuing freedom, you know, valuing being alone. And, you know, if you're looking at relationship stuff, I already see some contradictions in your chart where it's like, and I have this to myself, where there's a bit of a love me, leave me alone kind of vibe going on because you have the moon here in Libra, which says, love me, stay, let's always be together and be close and connected. Mars in Cancer, which also affirms that, like, let's have closeness, let's be connected. And then we have Sun in Sagittarius, which is like, let me be anywhere but here. And then you have Venus in Aquarius, which also says, like, when I'm pissed off, I want to be by myself. I need, you know, like, when you have Venus in Aquarius, you need a lover who leaves you alone some of the time. So you're going to need a relationship or friendships where when you're with them, you have closeness, but then they let you go do your thing, basically. That's what I'm trying to say with that. And okay, let's see what else I can see here. I think there's more on this midheaven. This is actually a good aspect. You have your money planet conjunct the midheaven, which means you can make money in your career. But with Pluto trine, you'll have to kind of change everything. It's like you'll have to become a new version of yourself and like overcome, especially with Pluto in the second, fears of poverty, you know, or fears of like even fears of success related to finances. Pluto in the second is great for being able to focus in on something. And when your life gets out of balance, when you have Pluto in the second and you're only focusing on you and your goals and your stuff, and you're like shutting everyone out and studying or working on stuff, the way to bring that balance in is to connect with someone. So like if you're making art, you're trying to sell it and you can't sell it, just as an example, fill this in with whatever you do. You go talk to the person you're trying to sell it to and just get to know the person, like create intimacy, create trust with people and share with people or join into shared things. Those are ways to kind of balance out this Pluto if it gets out of hand. But some of this Libra energy might naturally help. Jupiter Venus trine is a very nice aspect to have in a chart, even though we have Saturn here. Still, Jupiter and Venus are connected, and that usually does mean you can make friends. Now, when I tell people this stuff, sometimes they're like, okay, yeah, but so the point with that is that it's really hard for people who don't have Jupiter Venus to make friends. So that ability to meet people and connect with them is something to really know is like really a true gift that is hard for people who don't have a good Venus or a good Jupiter. And you have a pretty good connection here between these two that like gives them some support. Um, Another thing I see here is Sun and Sagittarius conjunct the galactic center with the North Node conjunct the Sun. If you've ever wanted to be famous, I want to just confirm that that would be a normal desire for someone with this North Node, especially if you want to be like a famous writer or something, or if you want to be well known, or if you like traveling or being the center of attention, or, being in the spotlight or anything like that. Or even sometimes you can be a manager when your sun is like in a strong place. And I wouldn't say it's in a strong place, but it gets that juice from the North Node that says I could do this forever. And the Sun in Sagittarius could travel forever, teach forever, perform, tell stories forever. And it's in the third house though, so we're going to see that expressed more likely in writing or even potentially with elementary school children or in your local environment, like being in a local play or something like that. Just take what resonates though. Okay, so then the galactic center, I'll touch on this and then the timer went off, so I'll have to stop. The galactic center conjunct the sun. I have this one, and it means you are spiritual. It means that your core identity is connected to spirit, connected to source, connected to a kind of a power greater than yourself, right? Maybe you were wise beyond your years when you were younger. Sometimes you might just have insights or know things. And this might, because it's in your third house, it might describe a relationship with a sibling as well, or it might just describe you when you're writing. The act of writing is the third house. It's your mind too. So you might be like would you call yourself a self-development junkie? I'm not judging, but if you would, this would make total sense because it's like your sun is where you want to be and you want to be in the third house of the mind and thinking. And I love to write. It's one of my passions. Yeah. The thing about that is that some people have how do I put it? Some people will love something, but they won't still keep loving it. This kind of confirms that for you, writing is something you're probably never going to get tired of. You'll probably always find a way to write more or read more or learn more. So yeah, that can be what that is. There's a bunch of other stuff that it could be. But yeah, it does feel like writing could be something that you continue to pursue throughout life. And it might even make you feel nourished, right? Because with the sun sextile the moon, doing third house stuff is going to support like the body and the identity. So it's almost like you might feel like your path in this lifetime is establishing your identity as a writer. So, and yeah, the Saturn there in the fifth actually does help kind of crystallize that and give you the discipline needed to keep going with it. So yeah, I love that for you. I think that's a great place to stop just because of time. Self-development pimp. Forgive me, I said junkie. No, I'm just kidding. That is awesome. I love it. Yeah, and it's like that Sagittarius energy of like you could just go forever and like learn more and understand more and want to know more and just go over the same information again and just keep almost like a high, so that feels true as well. Okay, so we're gonna stop there because of time. Thank you for booking. And well, you're also having a Jupiter return as well right now, which means no, you're not. Forget I said that. Just forget I said that. I will say though, Jupiter's giving some blessings right now. So if you ever decide to do a transit reading, we can talk about by June, Jupiter will trine your moon. That's a nice one. You know, that Jupiter trine moon is going to happen once every twice in a 12-year period. So it's a nice aspect to kind of know about and be aware of and take advantage of. Okay, thank you so much, Kier. And thank you for booking. Feel free to say anything else you want to in the chat about that. And it looks like the readings are open. So if anyone else wants to book, now is the time. The readings are open. So whoever books next will get their reading next. Yeah. Yeah, no problem. It was fun. It's always fun to kind of read a new chart. Absolutely. Okay, so we're going to put our little thing up again. For those who are maybe just, well, for everyone, I do have some new videos up on the eclipse, on the, what else did I do? Neptune and Aries. Yeah, so we have Neptune and Aries. We have the solar and lunar eclipses. Those 3 videos are all up on the channel. So when you're done watching this one, you can always binge watch those, and you can watch them all for your sun, moon, and rising. And even though the eclipse has kind of already happened, that stuff is still relevant. So if you're like, I just need an energy update, I highly recommend either one of those. That is if you don't get a personal one here. Okay. So I did add a new type of chart, and that is the lunar return chart. The lunar return chart is a chart of, it's like an energy snapshot. It's like a chart of, it's like the energy snapshot of the 28-day cycle you're in and what it's going to include. I actually was reading one of mine on one of the last videos, and I took that video down so you won't be able to find it, but they're so accurate. Okay, you want to go again? Let's see. You want to do transits? Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. You guys are allowed to book more than one. Okay, so let's do transits. Did I put a typo? Hold on. Let me see if I can fix that. Why is there an F on it? Yeah, I straight up typoed my own name. My own fake name. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, I'm going to pull up the chart. Sorry. I'm going to pull up the transit chart here. And then we'll go 7 more minutes. So, you guys remember that game 7 minutes in heaven? I didn't mean to do it that way. I actually didn't even think of that until just now. Oh, KJ, maybe I have you. Maybe I have you from before with a different time. That's so weird. Anyway, I'm pulling up the right one. You must have booked in the past, and I'm not putting it together. Oops. I need that. Okay. I'm just pulling up the chart here. Yeah. Okay. That's not what I'm trying to do here. This is better. Oh, that's why you got your official records. Okay, I'm like, how did I mess that up so bad? that I got the wrong time. That's what I thought, because that's happened before where, especially when I was new at astrology, I would like prepare for like 2 hours before the reading. I don't do that shit no more, because all it takes is one or two times of someone's birth time being wrong. And it's like, man, I just wasted 2 hours of my life on nothing. Okay, so here we are. Let's just switch this. There we go. Okay, so let's just set the timer and do transits. I do think, this Jupiter transit is probably good. Okay, I'll just say it. One cool thing is Jupiter will, around May 4th, Jupiter's going to trine your ascendant. That's actually a little bit sooner, like May 3rd and May 2nd. So probably a chance to do something spiritual that makes you feel like you're growing. But because you have the South Node in the ninth, it's from a place of like emptying, like removing the negative thoughts, like maybe like a Buddhist thing where it's like cleansing the mind, releasing the stuff that's not helpful. You know how in Buddhism they talk about that. It's like about having a clean mind almost. But it could be anything where you are doing some kind of meditation or some kind of process where it's about releasing or becoming more spiritual on the path, to grow more, right? So growth can be you moving somewhere, taking a course. It can be learning more in your job or something, getting a promotion. It can be lots of different things. But this does look like a positive transit. And I will tell you, when the last time this happened, I think you were probably super young, 12 years ago, but I'm still going to tell you when that was. So you can maybe even after this video, think back to what was going on at this time of your life. I don't know how old you were in 2013. If it's like, sometimes it's not old enough to see, if you're like still a teenager or whatever, it's not, usually it doesn't compare to what happens when you're an adult because you don't have as much power over your life yet. Anyway, oh my gosh, I'm just going to pause it because I'm rambling too much. Okay. May of 2013, Jupiter was making about the same, similar trine, and I'll give you the closer date to that. Maybe even mid to late May of 2013. So you can think about what was happening related to travel, growing, meeting new people, learning new things, babies being born or growth of the family, nurturing, being around kids, having a safer, happier home, relationship stuff, any kind of good thing like that. So think about what was happening then. So the first date is May of 2013. And then the second date is not that long after, June of 2013. So the end of June of 2013, Jupiter in the ninth house was trining your moon in the first house. Sometimes too, like the moon represents our health, our food, our body. So like when Jupiter trines the moon, we'll get supplements, or we'll be eating in a way that really makes us feel good, or we'll be getting enough sleep, or, other things that are like allow us to be nurtured and cozy. But for you, the moon rules your 10th house of career. So if you're like, when am I going to have career growth again? I'm going to predict this June, because that is like when Jupiter trines your moon, and your moon is the career planet. Yeah, I probably was around 22. Yeah. So maybe you can compare, maybe you can't. But when we have something that happened, that's always the best validated way to predict a thing. What would I say? I would say from now to June, this transit is good for spirituality, growing your spirituality, spiritual practice, things that are, gratitude practices, or like, things that are really about the Jupiterian side of things, which is all about seeing the good in life and trying to create more of it, and like having spiritual teachers that are positively focused, right? We're not talking Stoic philosophy where you see your own death. We're not talking the Tibetan Book of the Dead. We're not talking any of that like heavier spiritual stuff. We're talking about think positive thoughts kind of stuff, which sometimes I make fun of, and not make fun of, but you know, it can be too much sometimes. While career has been heavy on my mind, I've been having issues with being indecisive with traditional school or doing what I feel called to do spiritually. Yeah, I would say as far as that goes, um, you may find that when Jupiter goes into Cancer in your 10th house, that's starting in June. So that's from this June till next June. It's likely to find teachers. Right now, it's more likely to find spiritual teachers or to actually, you could study right now. You could study right now, but I'm guessing when Jupiter hits your south node, you're going to be more in the spiritual vibe because it's like the south node in the ninth house is like, let me be empty, let me be spiritual, let me release all of these things I don't need. Um, it's a very spiritually aligned placement. South node in the ninth, North node in the third. But sometimes you're studying and you're busy and stuff, which is fine. And then let's see what else you have going on now for transits. Um, right now, you have Mars conjunct your natal Mars. So Mars is saying, I need to hurry up and figure out my career. But your natal Mars is saying, but we don't know what we're doing. And remember, Mars did go retrograde back in December 6th. So, and it's a long one, so it's not out of shadow yet. Let me double check that degree again. 6. So, Mars, and I'm like counting the weeks on this myself because it feels like it takes forever. April, May 2nd. I think it's May 1st, actually. That's what happens May 1st, Cora. You asked that earlier. Mars goes out of shadow. I think there's something else that happens on the day too. I was looking it up in my stuff. Like, that's a big day. Either way, Mars comes out of shadow on May 1st. Mars is not your career planet, it's your money planet. So if you have spent from December till now feeling like I really got to figure out my money, but also not really knowing what to do, kind of been in more of like a state of going over it and thinking about it and contemplating and just like not really clear on the path ahead, that would make total sense based on that transit. And I would say we're looking at May 1st, where it doesn't mean May 1st everything's going to flow perfectly. It means May 1st is when you might feel like you have the map and you can take a step in the direction you want to go. You got the information you needed. Now you're ready to proceed. Don't think that means you can't make money until then or anything like that. But that's what I think as far as like clarity. Now that clarity may also have to do with your love life because Mars rules your love life too, your 7th house. So if you're in a relationship and things have been wonky, then they might stop being wonky around the 2nd, the 1st of May. But if you're not in a relationship, this is just other people. Situations with other people maybe been a little bit wonky or a little bit less easy to navigate. And I can't say for this, like, whether I think you should do one or the other, but I honestly, sometimes I'm like, we should all just do both. But, you know, right now, another thing too, I'm noticing in your chart that might be really significant for you right now is that Mars trines Pluto, your natal. And right now, Mars is on top of that Mars Pluto trine. Mars Pluto in aspect is like, you can be unstoppable, but you really kind of have to get going. I think of like, I don't have a good metaphor for this, but I think of like, I don't know, like the train has to be running for a little bit before it can do anything. Your energy and your motivation and your ability to kind of accomplish things is going to be really strong with Pluto here, but it's almost like it'll be frozen until you, one, figure out what you really want, and are at least, you don't have to only do what you want, but you're not going to have the power to call on unless you care about the thing. And when you're doing something you care about, you can be so passionate about it. But when you don't care about it, it's like frozen and you can't unthaw it. That's what that feels like to me. So Mars on this point could just create a little more frustration around that energy or that sort of current, those current dynamics with your desire to have a financial breakthrough or your desire to kind of build wealth or something. But then also the feeling of Mars in Cancer, which is like, and I'm saying that about the transiting Mars, where it's like, it can only do so much because of feelings, right? There's feelings that get in the way. Now, Mars in Cancer can be very protective. And I wonder if maybe what you write has to do with protection or protecting, like protecting the inner child version of you kind of a thing. Maybe not. That's fine. But sometimes people with Mars on their midheaven will do jobs or careers that relate to either like very Martian things like defending, like internet security or home security, or like, it doesn't have to be like prison guard, it can just be like helping people with social justice, helping people with their rights or something, or even something more very traditionally Martian, like baking or cutting things, like cutting food, or a chef or something. But let me get to our timer did go off, but I want to get to just see if there's anything else here that's jumping out as far as what's happening right now. Neptune just left the 6th house and went into your 7th, which will put you more in touch with your ideal for relationships, long-term relationships. And it might relieve some confusion around how to spend your time. You might be feeling with Saturn here since March of 2023, some karmic lessons or some heaviness around how you spend your time and how you discipline yourself and whether you're accomplishing things. And you may be harder on yourself lately related to how much time you spend doing things. That could be a theme lately, is you're really aware of how much time everything costs you right now, and that's just kind of wherever Saturn is, we're going to be really aware of the cost of that thing and the consequences related to that area. And so that's your time, your health. If you have pets, it's pets. Oftentimes when Saturn's in the 6th, it's like you have to do more shit, but you don't get more. It's like your commute just got longer, or your coworker quit. Now you got to do their job too. You don't get paid more, or like you're taking care of someone and you have more chores. It's just more stuff has to be done. And sometimes the things you're doing are things that the skills you're building will pay off later. But with Saturn in the 6th, usually that's not the moment of the payoff. Usually those are the moments of like harder work. But Saturn does move into your 7th house off and on this year. So you're coming toward the end of that. Yeah. And then as far as just like right now goes with the sun in Aries in the 7th, there might be, even especially with that eclipse that just happened, there might be a feeling of like desiring to connect with either new people or create new energies in a current relationship. Just relationships are probably going to be on the radar right now. Okay, I'm going to stop there. Okay. So, you said right. I don't know which thing, but yay. I never know what I said that the person's responding to. Okay, guys. So for anyone else jumping on now, we are doing live readings, and the readings are open. So you can do natal, you can do transits, you can do lunar return. So if you want to know about you and just what I see in your chart, do natal. If you want to know what the planets are doing to you now, like what Neptune and Aries means for you at this moment, do transits. And if you want an energy snapshot of this current 28-day cycle, do lunar return. And thank you for that. Yes, thank you. Thank you for booking. These are always so much fun. All right. For those of you asking for readings in the chat, these are actually readings you can book using the link at the top. Let me make sure I pinned that link. Just going to check on that now. I'm sure I did, but I want to make sure. Yeah, it is pinned to the top of the chat. So it'll be right there at the top. And yeah, okay. So that is what we are doing. So let me just put this up here. So the way it works is readings are done in the order they're received. And so because we had someone book a couple times already, now they are open. And so you can book now and you would get in. I mean, sometimes two people book at one time and then, you have to take turns. But I just go with whoever books first, and that's what I do. That's what we do. And yes, the newly added Lunar Return is a reading that I think is wonderful. I've seen some people don't like, they're not as into it because I don't know. Let me know what you guys think, because I guess yearly seems more important to people. Your chart of your year seems more like significant, like it has more of an impact. But dude, the month is super important. Like, how's your month gonna go? Is it gonna be hard? Is it gonna be good? Are you gonna be having fun? Are you gonna be working your butt off? Are you gonna be, I mean, I think a month by month super matters, but I guess people sometimes want, something's itching me. I used a new makeup, and it's not new. I used an old makeup because the makeup I normally use, I totally broke the whole thing. And I was sad. I totally, it's crazy too, because it was just like in my makeup bag, sitting on my dresser, and I'm laying in bed about to go to sleep, and I hear something shatter. And I get up, and it's my favorite makeup. My favorite makeup was in that bag, and that bag had fallen over, and that makeup broke. And it was made of glass. I really wanted to keep it, but I'm like, I'm not trying to cut my face. So that was a sad moment. I know this is not life-changing news over here, but this is my little boring, little passive spiritual life over here. I actually love my sort of even keel, boring, not too exciting life. These lives are exciting. This is my excitement. It's so exciting. Can you tell? But that being said, for anyone jumping on, you can book using the link at the top of the chat. And back to the lunar return, which is what I was talking about. So every planet returns, and when the moon returns, it goes back to where it started, which is wherever your natal moon is. And because it does that, because that cycle starts wherever your natal moon is, it's like your personal month. It's like your personal energy month that starts at a special day and time for you. So I'm going to pull up mine here, and hopefully you can't see too much. That's not what I wanted to do. If it wants to work, it's going to not work now. It does that anytime I'm live, I swear. I swear. Probably because the computer's working hard. Okay, so I'm going to pull this up. It's going to show my moon. Actually, it's not going to show my moon. This is not my natal chart. This is my lunar return chart. You guys can't see the rest of the screen, but on the rest of the screen, it tells me the date that this chart was. It's the last time the moon was where my moon is. So, look what's cool about this chart. I got Jupiter on the midheaven this month. That means I get to grow in my career. That might be, I know what that might be. I don't want to say it yet. It's probably not going viral. Okay. I wish. It's probably not going viral. And how do I know I'm probably not going viral this month based on this chart? Because we have the moon in the same sign as Saturn. Saturn's going to slow it down. And Saturn's also trining Mars. And Mars is a planet of action. Mars is still not out of retrograde. And so we're probably not going to see my actions this month are probably going to be slow, steady, measured, disciplined. And maybe I'm sacrificing for something. Maybe I'm giving up something now so that I can have something later, etc. So by this chart, I can see where my focus might be on others and on psychic work or making money from other people, self-employment income, taxes, debt, things like that. And how, where am I going to probably have growth in my 10th house? Maybe my videos will grow this month. Maybe I'll expand that. But since this Jupiter is also conjunct the midheaven, since it's also in Gemini, then it's probably going to be two things that are growing, right? It's probably going to be a little bit of a shiny in career and work where it's like, oh, I have this over here and I have this over here. I could legitimately work 3 jobs this month, and that would make sense based on this chart. That would actually make a lot of sense. Maybe I should try that. But this is how we can read the lunar return, and then we can go deeper and look at which things are aspecting which things. Right? Venus is conjunct Neptune. So this might be a month of, there might be something with love, or there might be something with beauty or perfume, or even like making my videos look pretty or something, or something alluring. Maybe I'll do a guided meditation or something. There can be all kinds of things like that. And so I could go around this chart and tell you all these different things. And of course, I'm looking at what's the most important. I'm not reading every single thing. So if you did a lunar return chart, it's sort of like that. It's going to be a chart like this, but it's going to start on a day that's not the first of the month. It's a unique energy reading of your unique lunar month that starts at a special time for you. And then maybe I want to see if my next month might be a little bit better. Well, in this one, at least Saturn is not as close to the moon. And then I just want to find a good one. Maybe I'll have a good summer. Maybe I'll have a good June. Because look, Saturn's out of here. And I'm not saying I'm going to manifest bad things until then. But Saturn's out of here, and Jupiter now is making a side-base trine to the moon. So if I'm predicting this in your chart and you're like, man, things haven't been super exciting, I'm going to be like, how about we see what happens in June when Jupiter makes a nice trine to that moon? Because that might just make everything better. It really might. Okay, so for those of you watching, you can still book. And those of you jumping on, you can still book a live reading with me. If you want to, you just click the link at the top of the chat and it takes you to the page where you make the booking. How's everybody doing? It's Friday. It's spring. I don't know about you guys, but in Vegas, the weather's nice and it's not too hot yet. So this is like the perfect time of year. And my water is like way over there. Actually, oh, hold on. I moved it. I moved it for this reason. Actually, I moved it and then I realized that's a great place for it. For anyone jumping on who's like, what are we doing? Read the little thing. All right. I think we're going to get some more people here. I really do. And we'll have some more charts to read. And then yeah, that's what we're doing. Quora says, I love March and April. The weather just feels good and cozy. I always feel like that. I really do feel, and ever since I've studied astrology and learned about the tropical zodiac, I'm kind of a stickler about this. But, you know, the astrological new year doesn't start in January, it starts in March. And that makes sense based on the seasons. It actually makes sense because based on the seasons, we have March being like when everything comes to life, you know? And it's like, I definitely feel like when I'm trying to, in January, if I'm trying to set a New Year's resolution, I'm really aware of what I messed up, you know, or what goals I haven't reached. That's how I feel. And that's a very Capricornian way to feel, is to just be aware of what doesn't measure up, where we didn't get to the top of the mountain and where we want to. But when it's like, okay, it's time to go forward. It's time to take the action. It's time to jump in and have courage and like have passion about something and connect with the things you care about and initiate them and put your life force energy into the things you want to see in your life and in the world. Man, I'm using Aries season for that, because that's when it's time to act. You know what I mean? That's when it's really time to like use that spark of energy that initiates things. Now, don't get me wrong. Capricorns can initiate. All the cardinal signs can initiate. And sometimes if you have like a cardinal square in your chart, or if you have lots of planets or even just one planet, like Capricorn, Libra, Cancer, or what's the other one? Aries, then you might argue with yourself about how to start a thing, right? Do you just do the Aries thing and like act now and think about it later? Do you do the Cancer thing and do it when it feels aligned or when you think it's going to be the best for your family? Do you do the Libra thing and wait for permission, or like wait and see someone else go first and then you try it? Or, and I'm not saying Libras can't do anything, but usually the Libra way to start something is to like not to just act, right? You're going to consider. You're going to consider before you act. You're going to consider how it affects other people. You're going to consider how it's going to affect you. You're going to make a pros and cons list. You're going to consider it. And then Capricorns. Capricorns are going to kind of see how they're going to like see what the mountain is and identify the mountain and then figure out the terrain up, the best path up the mountain. That's kind of how I see it. Oh, okay. Quora says, I prefer doing my New Year's resolutions and visualizations in March. I play the song Waters of March as I write and or visualize my year. That's so cool. I love how you have such a ritual for that. That is so cool. All right, let me just check and see. All right, so we do still have openings here. And let me see. Yep, our link is still working. So yeah, anyone else who has joined, feel free to book And anyone else who is here hanging out, feel free to just kind of chill with us as we hang out and um, you know, just vibe. And talk about astrology. I'm curious too, for those of you here, we can have some like little side chats, side combos in the chat. I've been thinking about the planets lately and kind of which planet I want to really focus in on the next few months, as far as which one to talk about more in videos and things. And you know what planet has popped into my mind lately is Neptune. And some of this might be because I have been going through a Neptune transit. Some of this might be because Neptune just moved into Aries, so it's on top of mind. And it's like that transit's kind of a big, Neptune transits into different signs is like about every 14 years. So it's not like all the time that we see those. Like we'll see some in our life. But yeah, it's not like it's super, super common. And I think, I don't know, I think that the outer planets are kind of alluring, like when I was newer to astrology, that's all I wanted to know about was like Neptune, Pluto, Uranus, because I just found them more fascinating for some reason. Even though the more I've studied, the more I'm like, damn, dude, you could just study Mercury. Mercury has so much to him. Mercury has so much to it as a planet, as a mythology, as a cycle, as all the things Mercury represents. Like you could just study Mercury and be like, that's all you study in your life. That's how much there is to know about astrology. You guys, that one person can just study Mercury and they could devote their whole life to that and still kind of scratch the surface of what Mercury has to offer us. And for some reason, though, Mercury doesn't have the allure that like Neptune and Uranus and Pluto do. So I'd love to hear from you guys. Is there a certain planet that like calls to you or has been calling to you? Are there certain placements that you're like, whoa, I have to learn about this? And then Quora says, I've been thinking about Neptune too, but because my yod has Pisces, Libra, and Leo. Yeah. Yeah, Neptune's interesting, like wherever we have Neptune by house, we'll be really inspired. We'll be connected to the long-term vision of a thing, but we might have a hard time taking the first step toward it because Neptune puts us in touch with the ideal, but puts us out of touch with the real. It's like harder for us to grasp reality in that area, but it's easy for us to dream and imagine. So, okay, Chris is saying Pluto for sure. Why Pluto? I mean, I know the good reasons, but if you want to share what it is about Pluto that makes you feel like, what do you feel like you're going to learn from Pluto? I went through a phase where I was doing a lot of Pluto videos, and they say that when you study a planet, you kind of go into that planetary sphere. And I definitely had to stop doing Pluto. I had to stop doing Pluto videos because I was like, there, you can be too much in the underworld, right? You can be too much connected to like the subconscious. You can be too, I don't even know the word, but like aware of the psychological dynamics of life and not, it can take you out of right now. It can take you out of your day to day, which I think maybe is why we like astrology sometimes. Maybe we like the escape into something that we feel is going to bring value to our lives rather than escaping into movies that, sometimes when we get spiritual, we start seeing how movies can just be another way to kind of get people thinking things, and we want to keep our conscious mind our own. We want to like feed it the things we want it to like create in the world. We want to really own that. But when we study astrology, it's like we get that form of escape without feeling like we're being brainwashed almost. Let me know if you relate to that. Cora is saying Moon and Leo in my eighth house. I've been studying my eighth house to understand what's in there. Yeah, the eighth house is kind of the eighth and the 12th kind of are hard ones to like understand fully because I think because the 12th house is like the ocean of our subconscious mind that you can never get to the bottom of. But like the eighth house is so where we connect in with others that it can be hard to see where we begin and they end. Okay, so Krista says, I've been watching transits when Pluto sits still in the sky, whether or not going direct or retrograde, we see mass domestic violence and mass casualties. Yeah, I do think you can see trends for sure. Am I still here? I think my Wi-Fi is going in and out a little bit here. Let's make sure we're good. I think we're good. Yeah, Anurada says, I find it interesting how in traditional Vedic they attribute the qualities of Neptune to Ketu. Do you think so? I mean, I can see some of like the dissolution side of it, but I guess I just see them so differently, right? Like I don't see Ketu as having the numbing effect Neptune can have, and I don't see Ketu as having, unless tell me if you studied this elsewhere, having the illusion. I guess the notes do have a bit of like an illusionary distorted, like it makes you confused. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah. And that's the thing about the north, even studying the north node and the south node is like we don't necessarily tend to have a clear idea of those areas. That like the south node touches or that Neptune touches because it's like the themes are distortion, right? So what the fuck do you do when you're like you want to know about a placement, but it's like your thinking around this tends to be distorted. It's like okay, shit. But yeah, it is interesting. I think Vedic and Western and how they differ is fascinating. I think Vedic is fascinating. If I had all the time in the world, I would study Vedic astrology too. Like if I had didn't have to work and stuff, that's what I would do. Because the thing that I think a lot of us have a hard time with Vedic is sometimes a good Vedic astrologer will say, "Oh, your first marriage is doomed." Do you know what I mean? They'll just straight up be like, "This area of life is going to go bad for you." Period. But then, and I mean good because if they're a capable validated Vedic astrologer, they'll be able to actually predict that accurately. That's what I mean. But then they have remedies. Vedic got the remedies. That's what I like about Vedic. I mean, I don't want it to be like slaughtering a cow or something, but I do like, which some of the remedies are like that. That's why I said that. But I mean, I love Vedic astrology. I have a lot of respect for it. Um, yeah, okay, yeah, and then you're saying K2 is associated with magic. Yeah, I don't see Neptune having that association. I guess I still have them like kind of separate, But illusion film, yeah, in the spirit world, some Vedic astrologers acknowledge Neptune, but many don't. Yeah, it's interesting. Same with traditional astrology, right? Which a lot of the traditional astrologers are using the visible planets, right? So that just goes up to Saturn. But I think it's kind of a touchy subject, right? Modern versus traditional. And the thing is like, yeah, okay. So Anuradha is saying, yeah, there's a lot of doom and gloom I get from the traditional Vedic perspective. And the same with traditional Western, I think, where it's like, um, they're not going to sugarcoat the problems, right? They're not going to, if Saturn's touching something, that thing is going to get a negative effect. Now, if you already know that, it doesn't feel bad. Like I know, like Saturn is conjunct by Mercury. I know that when I say shit, people don't like it. Or I'll say something and I'll get in trouble for it. Or I won't say something, or I'll be in more situations than often where people treat me like you're not allowed to speak. You know, the men are talking or whatever. Doesn't mean that never happens to anyone else, but that shit happens to me um, way more than I think other people. Anyway, the point is, if you already know the thing is like it is, when someone tells you it is, it's actually refreshing. But I think when we're talking about transits and we're looking at upcoming things, and it's like, if Saturn is malefic and Mars is malefic, then when they hit something, it's going to be bad. And then people get scared. I get scared. I get scared when I got scared that I was having a Pluto square. I'm alive still. I don't fully know what the Pluto square is doing to me yet. I think I will know when this is over, years from now. And I'm not dead. I'm not feeling like I'm dying. Maybe I will surrender something. Maybe something will be unblocked that has been buried. Da 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 da. But I can see it. I can see the feeling of like, I don't want that gloom and doom in my day, but I can also see for a traditional astrologer who's like, this is just how it is. Like, what do you want me to do? Lie? So it's like, there's this balance between being able to see and acknowledge the negative in our charts and in the world and in life. And I think some of that has to do with temperament and personality. And some of it has to do, in my opinion, with our spiritual growth, where I think the more we grow spiritually, the more we can look at something negative in ourselves or the world without it bringing us down. And that's the cool, true spiritual power with people probably beyond me, even where you can insult them and they're like, yeah, I probably am. And they're fine. They'll just keep on going. Like, that's someone who has true power. It's someone who you can't piss off. And who, even if you tell them something they're not good at, they'll be like, yeah, they'll just own it. And it doesn't crush them. And that's kind of I think that's kind of one of the spiritual virtues to cultivate. I'm not saying I've done it. I can get defensive, but being defenseless, being like, oh, yeah, maybe I am stupid, whatever. um, yeah. And then Quora is saying that's my favorite part, the remedies. I've experimented with these. I've done a lot of fasting on different days for different planets and stuff, and it works. It works. I want to learn more remedies though. Like the ones I would love to actually learn that. I was thinking about that. The remedies I learned are a lot of work and they give you a little bit of outcome so far. And that's not my favorite kind of thing. I don't want something where I have to work my ass off to just literally, my Venus is so messed up, you guys. I have to fast. I have to not eat for 2 Fridays for people to fucking say hi to me, like in public. It's so weird. And it's like, that's a lot of work just for someone to say hi to me. Anyway, maybe once Saturn gets out of there, it'll be better again. Okay, let's go back to, I think Krista said some stuff here. As a Sag rising with Neptune and Uranus in the first house, I've been super tired since Neptune went to Aries. Yes, yes. Like I've taken 2 naps this week and I don't take naps. Yeah, yeah. So that's definitely, it makes me wonder whether your rising or Neptune or Uranus are maybe early in the degrees of Sagittarius, because Neptune will do that to you. It'll just zap you. And then yeah, Christy Lynn says in Vedic I'm a Scorpio rising with Uranus conjunct my rising. I think I'm a Leo rising, but I don't even feel like that's true. Like maybe I'm still a Virgo rising actually. All I know is that in any system I do, my chart sucks. And I really think that a lot of us, we would just pick the one where we have the better chart if we could. And it's like, I mean, there's going to be good and bad things about your chart in every system, but um yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I think we get a little too, I don't know, a little bit too, I don't know. I just think you just pick one and you just go with it. You know what I mean? And that's the thing about Vedic though, is that if you're gonna do Vedic, you've got to understand the Vedic zodiac is like roughly, I don't know, 23 degrees or something different. So that means if you're watching a Vedic astrologer and you have Jupiter at 10 degrees, then you need to watch your Jupiter in the sign before that of that Vedic astrologer. That's the thing I think people don't always understand. And don't even get me started on true sidereal and how much I think that is crap. That one I don't like. And the reason I don't like it is because they have taken 2 different systems and kind of mashed them together. But each of those systems, Vedic or Western, not modern, but Western, have years and years and years, thousands and thousands of years of study behind them. So I just don't think you mash it together and you get to make your own new astrology. Like, if you want a new thing, check out human design or check out the gene keys. Don't try to like make astrology better. That bothers me because I feel like what makes astrology astrology is the fact that it can be validated. That's what makes it an observational science, is when the stars are in this place, these things happen. So, whether you're doing it from 23 degrees before now or after, that's not the important thing. The important thing to me is that you're consistently measuring what happens at those certain times. Anyway, don't get me on my soapbox here. I think I'm going to get annoying really soon. Okay. Honorata says, that's why I dig the way you explain things. You're realistic, but not fatalistic. You give hope in your readings. I hope so. I think it's all about like how to work with it, right? Like I don't need another freaking personality test that tells me I'm to this or I'm to that, like, and I've even had to learn that as an astrologer, how, when and how to talk about the challenges with people and, how to, when it's helpful, when it's not, like just listing out the negative qualities of the signs might be fun in pop astrology, and it can be fun. Okay. It can be fun, but I'm not trying to make fun of my clients, right? I'm like trying to help you guys do the best with what you can. And so, I think of like Mercury and Pisces and how Mercury doesn't do well in Pisces. But man, the Mercury and Pisces people I've met and clients I've had, they are so much, they're like a breath of fresh air. They're just like the ocean washing over you. They're so nice to talk to that it's like, I don't want to make that person feel like they're broken because they aren't rigid in their thinking. I want to make them feel like that's the coolest fucking Mercury ever. You know what I mean? So that is how I feel. Oh, and you like the Sagittarius sun, the optimism you feel like you lack. Yeah, sometimes we do. Even opposite signs. There's like, there's something to that. I did read in a relationship book sometimes that soulmates have like the opposite sun sign. I have to just check it. I have to check my sound. Oh man, I'm not even on my own video. Hold on a second. And then we got someone, I think. Did we get someone? No, that was not someone. Okay, so that means the bookings are still open. Let me check my sound. Oh, it's fine, I think. Okay, great. Okay, so then, yes, yes to human design, Cora. I like human design a lot. I can't teach it or anything, but I do. Before I started doing astrology, once upon a time, I learned human design and I actually tried doing, I just did human design readings. Like I just learned a bunch of about the different types of things I could learn. And then I tried to do 5 readings. I learned by doing that. It wasn't my thing. But I really did love it. I really do love it. I'm a manifesting generator, which means like I have to make a decision, I need to set the intention and wait for the response. So that's not like it's not like waiting for someone to tell you what to do. Like for example, when I was moving to Sedona, I set the intention to move to Sedona. I was working at a tarot shop, a crystal shop reading tarot. And one lady that when I wasn't even working, who was in the store heard that I was moving to Sedona and she gave the guy at the front desk my phone number, her phone number, and told him to have me call her. Like she wanted to welcome me to Sedona and like meet me for coffee when I got there. And she did. So like that's a response. That's a response. And I actually was going to move to Mexico and I didn't. A couple years ago. Well, more than 3 years ago because I'm here now. Maybe 5 years ago then. um, and I set the intention and I got a response. Like 2 different people like reached out to me and like new people there, and I didn't really have to do anything, you know? So it's like, but the thing is with human design for me is there's actually an emotion you're going to feel if you're not living in accordance to your design. And mine is frustration. And holy shit, is that true? Oh, if I am frustrated, it's like when I don't set the intention. Hold on. When I don't set the intention and I just try to do something anyway, and I'm like, I'm just going to do this, which I wish I could do. I'm jealous of those manifestors who don't have to do anything. They just tell people and then they can go straight ahead. Um, but when I do that, when I don't set the intention and I don't wait for a response, I feel frustration. And the emotion that you feel, they say that it's not just you. Sometimes other people will feel it towards you too. So if everyone's frustrated with me, I'm not living in accordance with my design. And it's so true and it's so right. It's so right. But I did, there's some things about the system I don't love. And what I don't love is I read something it creeps me out to just think about it. It actually made me really, really sad that the person who, Ra Uruhu, right, the guy who channeled human design, believes that humanity's ending. And I was just like, no, no, I don't want humanity to end. And there was a lot of other stuff in this book I found online about him that just kind of creeped me out a little bit. And it wasn't like, it was more on that topic of like what he thinks the end of humanity is going to look like. Basically, these kids are going to be born more and more psychic, and then humanity is going to be over. There's more to it than that, but yeah. Okay, so Anurata says, people whose charts you've looked up in Vedic, their Vedic chart doesn't reflect their character, like tropical. Yeah, I think it totally depends. Like, I think if you were to like master Vedic astrology, there's so much, like, there's so many charts, like, I love that they have so many charts. They have like a D10 chart of the career and like all these different charts and stuff. Maybe I should learn it. I thought about learning it. Um, but then I'm like, man, that's a lot to learn. Like, just, I don't even know everything about Western. Now more. Ugh. Thank you, Cora, for that. I'm just seeing this now about the sound. Honorata is saying, shout out, if anyone wants a reading, you should get it. It was dead on about so many things. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. It's always nice. It's always nice to get those shout outs for sure. Okay, so about this opposite sun signs, you always feel that Sagittarius is most opposite to you. Yeah, yeah. I have a theory about that if you want to hear it. And that is I have a theory that the sign quincunx is like the hardest for us to deal with. So that's my theory. So that would be for Taurus, that would be Sag and Libra. But yeah, it's just a theory because it's like the idea is that those signs don't really see eye to eye to each other. They're like around the corner from each other. So yeah, even though the opposite, that's the thing is like when we think of opposite, we think like not like us. But the thing is the opposite has to be they're opposites on the same spectrum, right? So like Gemini and Sag, they're both about like learning and communication, but Gemini is the details and Sagittarius is like the big picture. But there still is a thread that runs through there. So it's not opposite in the way we think of opposites. Does that make sense? It's like the opposite of hot and cold, but they're both temperature, right? So it's like they still have something in common. But like hot and fluffy are like more opposite in the sense of like the quincunx because heat and texture are not like they're not on the same planet. Anyway, you probably knew that. Okay, so Krista saying, as a Capricorn Sun, Leo Moon, and Tropical, the day Pluto went in Aquarius, you guys both got super sick in different ways for that whole week. Interesting. Interesting. Krista, you can click the link in the top to get all that info. You're a manifesting generator too. I find that, man, I could just work. You know what I mean? I can just fucking work and work and work and work. And when I'm in my free time, I play stupid ass games where I have to work at getting shit. Like, if you give me something to do that's like easy, I'm like, this is boring. Can we make it harder? Like, can we do a competition? Can we go on a little hike? Can we like go achieve something? Ooh, and then emotional projector. Let's talk about the emotional part of that because so the thing about what I read about the emotional side is that people who have emotional, it's like 50% of us, and you're actually not supposed to make a decision when you're emotional. And guess who has made a lot of decisions when I'm emotional? And man, this helps me so much because I don't get that gut feeling. Yeah, I think there is one that does have the gut, Krista. Yeah, where it's like I think it's the splenic ones that are have the gut feeling, but the emotional is actually supposed to wait until you're done having the emotion and then make the decision. So that's the cool part of that. And I feel like that's where I get into buying things I don't need or buying things I regret, is those impulse buys. But it's like I'm emotional when I'm making the decision. That's always when I'm like, fuck, I shouldn't have bought that. But it's like a big thing, like a coaching program or something that's like I couldn't afford. Totally done that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Anuradha says, um, it's confusing because I've seen people give accurate predictions using whole sign, tropical, Placidus, and Vedic. Yeah, it's like they all can be right. You just have to learn to read the one you're using. And that's all it is you just read the one you're using. No, Krista, this is not something I would ever do, like ever. And if that's what you want, it's just not. This is not in my wheelhouse at all. I do more like what you're going through right now on an emotional level, what patterns are coming up. And no, I'm not, because I haven't studied this, because I don't, even though I know people want it, I just think we can do, it's not my thing, is really what it is. I can do what I do with relationships, though, is I can tell you about what you need in love, like what your needs are, what kind of partner you need. Um, and sometimes I can tell the person what kind of place they might meet the person, but I don't even like doing that because I feel like it's just supposed to naturally happen. I really do. And also the other reason why I don't like doing these for everyone, what if I don't see something? What do you want me to say? Right? Like when it's something like this where you have a certain answer you want, first of all, it's not really easy to see this stuff. So, like, to look at that, first of all, and I'm not mad at you, Krista. I'm just using this as a talking point. Um, like, I have to look through every single year of your life for the rest of your life, and I have to look at it deeply. I can't just skim it. And it would be to really predict this, I would have to look at when you met your last person and the person before that. And then I have to see if those themes come up again in your whole life. So I have to flip through the chart of your whole life. And then don't even get me started on if you're going to live that long, because then I don't want to even have to think about that either. So on that positive note, this is why I don't do these. And also, what if I'm wrong? Right? What if I'm wrong and you meet someone tomorrow that was going to be your soulmate and I told you it was going to be in 3 months, and so then you don't proceed? Like, I don't want to get into that. This is the stuff when I'm talking about when I die and I go to heaven. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to have to worry that I put something in somebody's head that made their life not as good. So this is not, I know you're just asking a regular question. I'm not even mad at you. But like these are the heavy things that weigh on me. um okay, yeah, you like that explanation? Your seventh house told you what your type is and it's true. Oh my God, that's fun. That's fun. You can even look at this is a pretty easy one if you know the body parts to the different signs. You can just look at what sign your Venus is in, and that's like the body part you're into. And it's so funny because I have Venus in Sagittarius, and I always like a guy with thick thighs. Like that is the feature I want in a man. Is like I want their thighs to be strong. And no one says that. No one ever says that when you ask someone, what do you like in the partner you're attracted to? But don't give me a guy with skinny legs. That's just all I'm trying to say. But when I don't know, I was watching some astrology Instagram crap, fun stuff, you know what I mean? And that came up and it was just like wherever your Venus is, that's the body part. And I was like, oh my gosh, it blew my mind. But it's like, it's kind of true. Like astrology will blow your mind like that sometimes. It's fun. Okay, so we do still have openings. I'm thinking that more people are going to come on. It's Friday, it's getting later. More people are getting off work and stuff. And then we're going to do some more readings, and they're going to be super fun. And we have options. Ah, ha, 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 Cora. Yep, we're not gonna tell people what Scorpio means. You guys can look that up. That's hilarious. Okay, yeah, Krista, no worries. Yeah, I didn't mean to like go on a tangent, but it was a good talking point actually. Just heard some wild stories of astrologers predicting the actual day. You know, it's totally possible astrologers can do that. Lots of astrologers do more predictive work than I do. My predictive work is, I mean, sometimes I'll predict when someone gets a job and they'll get that job. That has happened before. But it's more like, this is what this is what you can do with this energy. This is what you can do with that energy. Da 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 da. Krista needs a guy with meat on his bones. And you have to like their feet. Okay. We all have a different, we all have a different taste. That's funny. I don't know if I've heard a woman say feet before actually. I mean, I hear guys that have foot fetishes, right? But like, I don't think I've ever heard that. It's always like they want the arms or the muscles, right? Not me, I want the thighs, and Krista wants the feet. All right. We're just going wherever the vibe takes us tonight. Okay, so, let's get back to the transits. Yeah, okay, so, what we're doing for anyone jumping on to this lovely conversation is we are chit-chatting, but we also have live readings available. So you can book a reading with me using the link at the top of the chat. And I'm going to just actually show you guys how right now because this feels like a good time to do that. So let's go to here. And then like this. Okay, so here's what you do. You would go and click this part at the top, and that's going to take you to this page. And then it's going to always have a time that's a little later than right now, because if I did it at right now, then a minute later it'll disappear because it thinks it's over. So you just click the book button and it's going to take you here. It says 5 minutes, but it's 7 minutes now. And you fill out all this information, and then you're going to be able to pick between transits, between natal chart, or between lunar return. So the lunar return is your month's emotional themes and just the themes of the month. The natal chart is what stands out about your chart to me upon first glance. It's not going to be everything. It's 7 minutes, but it'll be one or two of the major things that I see. And the transits will be what's happening now, and I'm going to go by most significant. And if the most significant thing is a year-long thing, we're going to talk about the year. If the most significant thing is a 2-week thing, we're going to talk about the 2 weeks. And then you just fill out all this stuff and click continue to payment. And then there's another page where you can pay. So that is what you do to book your reading. And then the reading is done here, and it's done in the order in which they are received. So it's first come, first serve. And if you are able to book today, then your reading will get done today, even if you end up in the line. Okay, Krista, you gotta go. Yeah, I hope you come back sometime too. It was good connecting with you. And for everyone else, the live readings are open. And if you book, make sure you let me know in the comments that you did so I see you and I get to you. Tonight we've talked about a bunch of stuff, including what you're attracted to based on your Venus. We've talked about human design. I have talked about probably Aries. We've talked about Aries season. We've talked about the weather. We could chit chat about a lot of things. We were chit chatting too about which of the outer planets we like and why we like them. And we've also touched on Vedic astrology versus Western. So, those are some things. We talked about human design for a little bit too. I do love human design. And someone else, I think it was Cora earlier, who said, something about like it's caused some healing. I can't find it now, but basically that it's caused healing. And I feel like I do use a lot of the things I learned about my human design in my life still when I remember to do it. And it's like what I like about human design, it's almost like general guidance, you know, it doesn't, at least for me, of what I've learned from it, it's not like there, I haven't learned anything predictive about it, but it's such a great tool for like decision making, right? Because I think that's something that a lot of us spiritual people struggle with, because I think sometimes we put more pressure on ourselves to make the decision that's going to be the right one for our spiritual path. And sometimes we feel like if we make the wrong choice, we're going to miss out on some, like we're going to miss the boat and we're going to not be on our purpose. Like we have to do that. But also sometimes I think we want, like, I do this sometimes where I want, instead of just seeing what happens, it's like I want to protect myself from any potential negative outcome and just read it, get a reading. It's like maybe I'm afraid sometimes to make the wrong choice. And so instead of just jumping into what I want to do, I'll hang back and be like, well, what do the cards say? You know, like it's just this mental thing sometimes. But then what happens when I do that is I'll get into this mental state where I'm like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? But then eventually, ooh, my light just burned out. But eventually, I think the power must be fine. It was just the light bulb. Eventually it's like I'll get that mental energy out and I'll come back to a more centered place, and then I will be able to make a decision from a more empowered place, right? Because when I'm doing that, usually it's like, it's not from a place of believing that I'm capable, right? It's usually when I'm feeling like the circumstances are bigger than me and I'm not like powerful enough to do anything. That's when I'm like, ooh, I'll get scared or something. But yeah, then what happens is eventually I remember something that's like, oh yeah, I don't have to even make this decision right now, or like I'll just come back to a more centered, spiritual, connected place, and then I'll be like, I'm okay, and then I'll make a decision from knowing that I'm okay. Does anyone have that? Or is it just me? Because I do think that like spiritual tools are so good to help us like validate and feel like we're on the right path, but also sometimes what they're really doing though is just like affirming what we already know. Like if I want to make a decision, I will totally pull cards for that, and I will totally look at them and see what cards I see for this decision and what cards I see for that decision. And I'll do like decision A and decision B. And then What usually happens is like it's stuff I already knew, but taking the time to not just think about it in my head, but like put cards to it, put images to it, and separate those images and tune into kind of what these different things mean. It almost helps me dissect the decision in a more grounded way than simply just this decision A is going to give me this. It's like a more feminine way to make a decision where I'm considering what's aligned instead of just what's going to get the result, right? Because that's the whole idea is like we're honoring that feminine part of ourselves. Okay, so for anyone else jumping on, we are live and we are doing readings. I'm just rambling until someone books another one. So, that can be a little bit of time or a long time. We're just going to hang out. Okay, Cora is saying, I learned from human design, like you said, not to be emotional when making a decision. I then realized that I'm not emotionally involved when giving intuitive Reiki or tarot reading. Interesting. Yeah, because it's like it's not about how you feel about it. You're just like probably just channeling it. That's interesting. I feel a little bit like different. I feel, and I've got a reading from someone a long time ago who told me that one of my powers is like the empathic one, which I didn't love because it sounds like it's not really that spiritual, you know? To me, that's how it sounded. But just like like when I'm reading, like I've had readings for people where I'm actually, first of all, I think that's cool, Cora. I think that's cool that you put that together and how that's like not being emotional is a positive, net positive for you. I've had readings where like I just like felt somebody's grief for them and talked about it. And it was just so like cleansing and healing for them. So I think I have more of like, I do think that for some reason, like I can feel it. And it's so hard to put into words because I can just feel it like when I'm doing a reading for someone and I'm not nailing it, I know. I can feel that it's not nailing it. We got to find something else. But how do I know? I just feel it. It's like I feel what they feel. And I mean, a lot of people experience being empathic, right? And it's like a common thing now, right? I'm not like super gifted and special, but I think it's awesome that I get to do readings with it and it works. Um, and I didn't really have to try, it just does. Um, yeah, that's what I think. That's a super interesting whole thing about emotions and being emotional versus not, right? Because, like, yeah, I mean, all of like the spiritual language about how our emotion, like with Abraham Hicks and how our emotions are a guidance system and kind of teaching us to honor our emotions because most of us were taught from an early age to ignore them and pretend they don't exist. And so we're kind of like raised culturally to push down our emotions and like dismiss them. And then we learn to listen to them and to honor them. And then we learn, like Quora, not to make decisions based on them. So it's like letting the emotions exist, but like putting them in their place and letting them have their place, but not letting them run the whole place, you know? Super interesting to honor our emotions, but not be ruled by them. To have an emotion and be like, you know what? Not today. Not today, powerlessness. You are not welcome here today. We have shit to do. You know what I mean? Like I've had those moments where I'm like something bad is happening or something difficult is happening and I want to crumble and it's like I can't do that right now. I have to move. I have to do shit, you know? So sometimes we need to be able to do that as well. I'm just rambling right now until someone books. And I might do another one tomorrow. I'm not sure. I had a reading I think I wanted to do. Did I schedule that yet? Oh yeah, you feel like being empathetic should be temporary. We allow that energy in, assist the person, and then let it go. Other people's weight is not for us to hold on to. Yeah, I think that for people who actually true empaths, which I think this is one of those buzzwords that you have a lot of people say who don't necessarily fit what it is, you know? Um, but I don't think you get to do that if you're an empath. I don't think you have the option to like, I'm not saying you can't let it go, but I don't think you can turn it off, right? I don't think you can um, always choose what you're going to like pick up on. At least that's my experience so far, but everyone's different. And I do find that like if I tried to do my readings without the emotional component, I mean that's what makes it good, man. You know, that's where I'm really getting into the things that resonate for people. So, it's interesting. All right. Well, the moon is in Cancer and I haven't started bawling my eyes out yet, which is amazing. I don't have anything against this moon as like a natal placement by any means. But I do find that whenever I'm crying for no reason, and I don't always remember to check the moon, but when I do, that is when I realize the moon is in Cancer. And I mean, that's so like cliche, right? Where it's like, um, the moon in Cancer is cliche for being emotional because it's like the planet of emotions and the sign of emotions. But sometimes the reason why a planet in a sign affects us, sometimes it's, yeah, okay, the moon's in this sign, but I think it's what relationship does that sign have to your natal placements, right? So, like moon in Cancer, I'm always sad at some point. I'm feeling the emotions. Why? Because that moon trines my natal moon, and my natal moon maybe has emotions already there. If I wasn't so emotional, then that wouldn't happen because there would like when the planets transit, they can only affect what's already there. They can't just like bring about something that doesn't exist in the natal. But then the moon goes into Leo, and I'm just like the happiest. Maybe not the happiest, but I am like excited and like energized and everything. Even like my lives are more like I'm more fun and I'm more happy and I have more energy to give to the crowd and everything. I'm more performative, which is such a cliche for Leo. But again, that's because the moon in Leo trines a bunch of my natal planets in Sagittarius. So it's so cool how there's no limit to what we can use astrology for, how we can apply it. Cora says you've been really emotional with this one. Yeah. Yeah. Anurada says you're a Pisces moon, right? Um, yes, I am a Pisces moon, and yes, there is that intuition. Although, they say that, and I think this is true, they say that Pisces intuition is the most, I don't want to say you can't trust it, but that this is one where, like, just like what you were talking about, Cora, where if the Pisces moon is too emotional, they won't necessarily pick up on accurate things. Like the ability to be affected by their environment and like weighed down by the sins of the world or the sad things of the world, super high with this moon. So it's like if a Pisces moon wants to really like develop their intuition, there's also a component of like how to release the energies, right? And the only thing I found, and this is true for all Pisces placements, is taking a shower. That's the only thing I've found anywhere in any spiritual literature that addresses this at all. And it's literally take a freaking shower. If you feel like you're picking up energies or whatever, that's the only thing I know. But luckily, most of us have running water, so that's not really a problem. But yeah, definitely that creative artistic. I don't think I've had like friends with Pisces moon. A lot of my friends that I had were before astrology, so I don't know. But I've met a couple of online people or have clients or just like people who have channels or whatever that I kind of know are connected to with Pisces moons. And I find them, I wouldn't describe myself this way personally, but they're just like, there's something really nice and almost childlike about them. Even Michael Jackson, right? I don't know him, but you know what I mean? There's like a peaceful kind of childlike quality that is not necessarily welcome in the world. People don't get it. And I definitely feel like when I'm being my own natural self, it's too sensitive and soft for most people. So I don't always show that side of myself because it's not welcome in the world when you're an adult. Like people don't like it. It makes people uncomfortable when you're just like kind and childlike and whimsical and like loving, right? It's just you can do it, but it's like people misinterpret it or it's so interesting. But yeah, I do. Even certain clients with Pisces moon, I've found that they'll be like a breath of fresh air, or they'll have something really soothing about their personality. And then Anuradha says, Cancer moons, I always feel more sensitive, emotional, crabby. When moon is in Scorpio, I'm usually feeling moody, reclusive. My conspiracy theorist mind kicks in extra. Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I wouldn't say like this is always true about the different moons. Like they're all going to have their different positive qualities. But as far as how it affects you, it's really cool to work with the moon because you can track it and you can see what it's doing. You can see where it is in the sky and how you feel. And you can do that every day. And it only takes a month to get through the whole zodiac. So you could really do a good study on this in just a few months, just in your own self. Yeah, all the Pisces moons I met have been men. Okay, childlike, artistic musicians, like to talk about deep spiritual topics. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I used to sing and stuff. Yeah, like when I was in Korea, I like co-wrote a song with a guy and we put it on iTunes and I was like doing a lot of open mics and stuff. And yeah, it would make sense to, yeah, the childlike side where it's like, and I see this in other people, maybe it's in me too, but like just where you can, the ability to kind of wonder and just like be mystified by life and the desire to do that and the love of that. I see this with Sag moons too. Like that moon in a Jupiter ruled sign of like just loving the wonder of life. Those moments where you go, "Whoa." That's what you want your Pisces and Sag moon friends for, you know, cuz they'll just be right there with you being like, "Whoa." I had a friend who we were much closer in the past with the Sag moon. And the things, the synchronicities we would experience in our life with like something that just happened to her and just happened to me, we would be going, whoa. Like, just whoa, dude. And I mean, even sober, you know what I mean? Where it's like just going whoa at the universe and being in that state of like just wonder. It's a beautiful thing. And I was even thinking about this maybe today or yesterday when I was driving home and I was pulling up to my where I park and I looked up at the sky and I saw the clouds and for some reason yesterday, I think it was yesterday, not today, the clouds were just beautiful. And they were the same clouds I always see, but for some reason I was just struck by and just kind of in awe at how crazy it is that we can even just see clouds in the sky and how magical it is to just have clouds. And I feel like I'm not doing this justice the way that I felt, but it's like we could do this with everything. Life is such, it is so magical, right? But that's how you find the magic in life is you in the things that are right there. You know, they're just right there. The clouds are in the sky every single day and we just walk past them. We don't even, we just walk by and we don't even look at them. We don't even look at the moon sometimes when it's full. Like the moon, when it's full, calls me. I can't help but look at it. It's like, and that's a whole other conspiracy theory. I don't even know if the moon is real. I don't even know what the moon is. I'm not going to pretend like I know what the moon is, but there's something about it that has to be good. You know, it has so much, I mean, it kind of controls so much in our lives, in our world, in our emotions, our tides. It's crazy to imagine. I guess the moon, I'm trying to get my jacket here. It's cold. I guess the moon like might not be real. That's like the conspiracy theory that it might not be real, that nobody ever went to it, that was all fake, or that it's like made up of matter that is not organic matter, like it's not supposed, or that NASA shot a thing into it and it rang like a bell. Like there's so much. I think I heard all this from that YouTube channel Spirit Science, but then sometimes I worry about that where sometimes the spiritual stuff, like where is it coming from? And who's making this shit? Okay, we're gonna keep going. Live readings are still open. I'm gonna take a quick bathroom break and we'll come back and I'll just keep rambling until we get some more people. I think more people are gonna book because it's Friday night and it's fun, you know, it's like just about the time where like it should be picking up. If you've been thinking about getting your reading tonight, you want to, you can book it now and then you'll be the first one or you'll be one of the first ones. When I come back, I'm only going to take a few minutes. So stay tuned, don't go anywhere, and I'll see you guys in a minute. There we go. All right. For anyone jumping on, we're doing live readings, and you can book a reading using the link at the top of the chat. Let me update it here. I'm just going to update the time. This is taking me forever. One second. Let's see if I did that right. Okay, so I got that working. That took me forever. All right, so anyone else jumping on, we're still doing live readings. You can book using the link at the top of the chat. And then Adarad is saying, yeah, I agree with you on the part where you say that maybe simulation theory was created to get people to, and you're saying a lie to make us give up hope in a greater spirit. I do think that there's some truth to that. Whereas maybe it's not intentional. Like maybe this simulation theory is really people being like, oh, we can hack the matrix, right? Like the whole idea that life is like the matrix and we can, manifest what we want to manifest. But I think the problem with it is like you said, it becomes like inorganic. And when you think that the world is a computer simulation, you just visualize a fucking Ferrari. And it's like, not saying you can't have nice things, but that it's like, I wonder, is that like a hijacking of consciousness toward materialism and away from, again, like what is our soul really trying to do here? Like when I die, my soul is not going to be caring about what car I drove, what kind of shoes I wore, unless I had to work really hard for those shoes and I became, like it's the skills that we're building. So maybe the ability to make money is one of the skills that we'll take with us when we die. I do think that's a possibility. The feeling of being able to like create and to influence our world. But I do think that, yeah, there's some truth to that maybe simulation theory isn't as positive because when we believe in it, there's no connection. There's no reason to do good with our visualizations. I don't know. I think the moon might be a different one though. I don't know. I I think there's something about the moon and like some mythologies of a time before the moon and stuff. So I wonder about that one. Yeah, it seems like nihilism, but it's like dressed up almost as like evolved. Because if it, yep, exactly, yep. Because if we're really in a simulation, then nothing matters, including morals, values, and there'd be no such thing as truth. And that feeling inside, that's like when you know something's right or wrong, that feeling doesn't have a place in simulation theory, right? That kind of inner knowing that like we're here to help each other and to like make the world a better place, and that our lives matter and the world matters and what we do matters here. Yeah. Okay, so the question here is, would you say that having Mercury square Neptune in your natal chart is similar to having a Mercury in Pisces? You might relate to the Mercury Pisces things, but so if you don't want to study astrology, you want to understand what your Mercury means, those things might be true, but it's different. It's different, and the easiest way to understand how it's different is going to be, think of it as who is it? Stephen Forrest talks about sentences and how like the planet is what, the sign is how, and the house is where. So that Mercury in whatever sign it is, in whatever house it is what is it? It's your communication, right? So let's just say you had a Mercury in Aries. You're going to have quick communication, direct communication, right? Passionate communication. Square Neptune in what sign? Square Neptune in Capricorn. Let's just say that would actually work. That's a real one that could be. So Neptune in Capricorn, being our ideals are put into a more realistic fashion, or we have more serious visualizations, or we have some compassion toward suffering people. And that squares over to that Mercury, distorting, softening, dissolving the original Mercury in Aries that wanted to be decisive and quick. So you have a decisive, quick thinker that gets confused sometimes. Or, you have like, that's probably all we'll do, just since that's like getting into personal chart reading, but basically there's a difference. Now, if you're like, oh, I just want to learn for self-development, sure, you could say probably most things about Mercury and Pisces are going to be true. Yeah, okay. So, yes, actually that's exactly it. How did you randomly guess that? Well, I'm not guessing. Ah, that's funny. Yeah, it's like this is how my readings work. I'm like, okay, so but you have to start, okay, this is the thing. You have to start with the sentence, the first sentence, which is Mercury in Aries. So your communication will express through Aries, and then Neptune's affecting it. So it's just a little bit different. Whereas some with Mercury and Pisces, my experience of them is that I love them, but they're the clients who will just, when they're describing something, it's like, I just got hit by a wave. And I'm like, what? Which it's fine because I love their storytelling and they're like, it takes you somewhere else. But like you have Mercury in Aries. So if someone asked you to fill out a police report, you're probably not going to have a hard time with that. A Mercury in Pisces is going to be like, I don't know when it happened. It happened right after I was hungry for lunch. They're going to associate events with their feelings about it or a story about it, not in like a linear kind of a direct fashion. So, you really have to, if you're talking to a Mercury in Pisces and you want information and you want facts, good fucking luck, because you're going to get the story. You're going to get their feelings about it. You're going to get their impressions. And this is where, Mercury and Pisces can get a little bit of a bad rap because sometimes you get people, not always, but, and this is true for my Mercury and Sag as well, where it's like you don't remember the facts, you remember the way that made you feel. And the way it made you feel isn't always the truth, it's subjective. So you can remember things wrong because you're not remembering the exact facts, you're remembering the general gist of it. Okay. Mercury in Aries, 6th house, square Neptune in Capricorn, 3rd house. Okay, so I'm actually going to send another email to my list telling them to come get their reading, just reminding everyone. Because I have a certain amount of spots I kind of wanted to fill tonight. So that's what I'm going to do. This will just take me a minute. Or a couple minutes. Okay, 3 minutes. All right. Done. Okay, and then you're saying, you're psychic because you just happen to use the example of Mercury in Aries, square Neptune and Cap, which just happened to be yeah. Oh shit, I did, didn't I? Interesting. How my mind operates. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So that's the thing is like you can relate to both, but you always kind of, if you want to really understand astrology, you always kind of want to bring it back to its pieces, if that makes sense. And you always want to, your Mercury's always still going to have this Aries flavor, this rambunctious flavor, this excited flavor, this let's do it right now flavor that a Mercury in Pisces would not have. Mercury and Pisces aren't trying to do anything right now. They're just trying to see how it goes and go with the flow, man. So yes. That is kind of crazy. There's a few other possibilities for Mercury square Neptune. There's quite a few. Okay, so for anyone else jumping on, we are doing live readings. The bookings are open. You can use the link at the top of the the top of the chat to book. And there's 3 options. You can do your natal chart. If you want to know about you and you want me to tell you what I see about you, do natal. If you want to know what's happening now, what the energies are doing right now, in things that are going to show up in your external world, do transits. And if you want to know, if you want an energy snapshot of the 28-day cycle you're in, do lunar return. All right. So I'm going to just hang out and chill for a little bit longer. I think there's some people out there who want readings right now. I really do. Yeah, that was a psychic moment. I really do have a lot of that stuff where I'm not trying to, or like, yeah, like when, and I'm not like, I don't even like saying that because it's like, I feel like it sounds cheesy to be like, yeah, I'm so psychic when I can't tell you what will happen tomorrow. That's the thing is like, if you're like, well, then what will happen tomorrow? I don't know. I don't know when you're going to find love, but I just tuned into that Mercury square Neptune, and this will happen sometimes when I do readings too, where I'm talking about a thing and the thing that I'm tuning into, the person's like, that just happened today. And this is what I mean when I'm talking about that, like that empathic side where I don't know how I know this stuff. I don't know how I just it's like I'm grabbing it out of. I've had a client say one time, I feel like you were just pulling the thoughts out of my head. I don't mean to, but I sometimes I do. All right. I know some other people want readings right now. I know it. I have a set amount that I said I was going to do. What about other types of readings? Just since we're chit-chatting about all the things. What other types of readings have you ever gotten? Like as far as readings you got from other people? I know myself, I've done some other astrology readings. This was long before I even studied astrology, but the ones that I did were not astrologers like I am. And I'm not complaining about them or anything, but they weren't like, they didn't have the ability to get into the details. They weren't like, I don't want to say they weren't good or anything, but like, they would just say, oh, yeah, something happened with your mom. Like, they wouldn't be able to tell me what it was. The stuff that I just find, I see right away for people, they wouldn't be necessarily astrologers. Maybe they would be like a certain type of healer who like dabbles in astrology. You know what I mean? So I did a few of those. I did one like true astrology reading from a guy, and it was like very much also like an energy. But I remember feeling like it was too much. Even though what he said about me was true, it was too much of the bad side of me and not enough of like anything good. Like, I'm not saying he didn't say anything good, but it was like, I just remember feeling kind of bad afterwards because it was like, some of the stuff was true, but it was just like not the helpful stuff. So that was another one. I've also done just like psychic readings because when I worked at a crystal shop, sometimes the other readers would like give me readings and stuff. Lots of energy work. I've gotten lots of energy work from people who I would book with, or like I've trained in Reiki as well, but lots of energy work. I'm trying to think of all the other types of readings, a few tarot readings, although I don't have a really good reader right now. There was one lady I got a reading from on YouTube a long time ago, and it was 100% accurate. But then she took down all her videos, and I don't know where she went or why. So I can't book with her again. It's sad because it's like I have high standards for readings. You know what I mean? My first tarot reading, I'm just going to keep fucking rambling, you guys, all night long. My first tarot reading I ever got, I remember I was in Bellingham. This was after I did Reiki. I came back home. I was on a trip to out of town for the weekend or whatever. I was house sitting. I went to a crystal shop. One of the first times I went, I just was curious about it, right? And up until this point in my life, whenever I thought about something spiritual, it would seem so far away to me. And one of the things that I noticed after I did Reiki is that the things I wanted didn't feel as far away anymore. They felt approachable, like a crystal shop. A crystal shop was somewhere I could just go because I wanted to. And I bought my first tarot deck at that crystal shop because I wanted to. And I got a reading from this chick that I couldn't afford. And that was when I learned not all readings are psychic readings. Some people do readings and they are not psychic. I didn't know that was a thing. I thought you had to be psychic or else you didn't do it. Like, I didn't know there was such a thing as like there's readers who are psychic and they use the cards as like to bounce off their intuition. And then there's readers who just know all what the cards mean and they tell you a story. This lady just told me a story. And I was like, I don't know. I paid like 40 or 60 bucks for this, man. I just remember being like, this is not, I thought you were going to get psychic information, man. Okay, so that was one. I'm trying to think of other readings I've gotten that were just readings. Yeah, so I think psychic, tarot, and then like energy work are most of it. I did like a tour in Sedona because at one point in time I worked for a company that did Sedona tours. And that was cool. We did like the sound bowl meditation thing. And then we did like a tour out on the rocks and stuff. That was cool. I used to take people on tours and do like tarot readings at that point. Okay, Honorata says, you were my first astrology reading. I kept wanting one, but am very picky, so kept stalling, plus financial reasons. I was waiting because I was scared to be disappointed, right? Isn't it such a vulnerable thing to let someone read your chart? You know, like, or even sometimes even get tarot or whatever when you are, because you want, I don't know about you guys, but it's like I want real information, but I want them to be nice to me. I don't want them to be jerks and judge me. So it's like even now, if I was going to go to an astrologer, who would I go to? It's like there's ones that I follow that are like guys and they're like, you know, this is what this is and this is what this is. And maybe they're more practical. And maybe I would think, okay, they're going to be really good at the predictive side, but they might not be nice to me. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if I can trust them with my soul. Okay. Then we have the soul centered astrologers who are like doing the life purpose and shit. And it's like, that might be too much for me, right? I might want something in the middle. But then there's all these modern astrologers who might like, it might like feel good, but oh, there's another astrology reading I did I can tell you guys about. And this is like the feel good, but not always accurate with timing kind of astrology, where it's like every weekend is a new portal. You know what I'm saying? So I did one, and this lady, I won't even say who it is. It was an email reading, and I was asking about my business. And she said a lot of things about me that were true, but it was like she couldn't really answer that specific question very well. And instead of telling me about my business, what she told me was that because I have so much mutable planets struggle with consistency and sticking with things. So she, in her reading for me, told me, you'll be successful in your business when you stop changing your mind. And I remember being like, that is not my problem right now. And it just kind of felt like it felt like it projected mutable problems onto me that I wasn't asking about. Even though there's an element of truth to it. It is true that I have to stick with it, and I always when I'm under pressure, things are hard, I think maybe I should stop doing astrology, maybe I should go back to tarot. It's like that's what my mind does. It wants to change in reaction to stress. So that was a true thing for her to say, but it didn't answer the question. Okay, so it was like that. Okay. Anuradha is saying, but you seem for real and genuine, and your reading was absolutely accurate. You did not disappoint. Thank you. I really try to kind of like find that balance between this is going to help you feel good. It's not going to make you feel bad, but also we're not lying, right? Because I did have, you know what I have had too, are Akashic Records readings. And I remember one in particular that said some things and I really believed them and they weren't true at all, like at all. And luckily I didn't make big life decisions based on what this chick said to me, but I really was, it's almost like I was in a place in my life where I wasn't, I don't know, I learned that you can't always believe them. But my goal with readings is to have readings that are so validating that you don't wonder if it's true. Your life experience confirms whatever it is. And I'll even try to say that when I'm talking about future stuff. Like if this happens, then you can do it this way, or just trying not to be all like, oh, one day everything will be magical. And then it's a lie and you're deeply disappointed. Yeah, that's what Anuradha's talking about. Went to a psychic years ago and she was wrong about everything. $100 down the drain. I felt ripped off financially and spiritually. Yes. Okay, I did this too, actually. I went to a psychic that was like I was literally walking down the street and it just sign said psychic. That might be the first reason not to do it. But I did. Oh, I had another one. I'm remembering all the bad readings I've gotten. I've gotten really good ones too, though. Actually had, yeah, I mean, I've had really good readings. Um, but what I had was, oh yeah, that psychic was like, what I learned now about that is that they do something called cold reading. So what they do is they take a look at you and they say shit they think you would relate to. And then they look at your reaction. And if you're like, then they keep going on that thing. And if you're like, then they pull back and they re-explain it in a different way. And I think this is something we can do sometimes, even with readings, If I'm with the person and I feel like they're reacting poorly, I'm going to stop like naturally. But these people are trained to do it. And I remember this lady saying like, It's not your fault. Everything has gone wrong. It's not your fault. Things aren't going very well in your life. And I just, obviously, that's why I booked the fucking reading. You know what I mean? Obviously, I wasn't doing fucking great. But, and then at the end, she was like, and only for this much dollars, I can remove the curse. And that's like obviously the first sign that someone's fucking lying to you is that they offer to charge you more to remove the problem. If they were really good and they really did think you had a curse, which most good people won't even think that, but if they did, they would just tell you what to do. In that moment, they wouldn't make you pay more. So, lesson learned. And yeah, it does suck when you get psychically ripped off. But I think also, like, I don't know how you guys feel, but this is one of the reasons I like the current culture around readings with the YouTube readings and stuff is because you can kind of get a sense for a person's energy before working with them. And I think it does make it better for the world in terms of people who want to work with you because they can kind of see if it feels like the right vibe. You know what I mean? For anybody jumping on, we are doing live readings. And I think I'm going to extend it a little more. I'm going to stay and hang out until more people book. And you can book a reading live with me right here in real time. So that's what we're doing. You can use the link at the top of the chat to book. I have too many tabs open right now. Let me close some of these. Okay, making sure my link is still good. Yes. Okay, so yes, so if you are jumping on and you want to get a reading with me, you can. You can choose natal, transits, or lunar return. If you want to know about you and your chart, pick natal. If you want to know about the big energies happening now, especially the ones that you might see in the external world, pick transits. And if you want to know, if you want a energy snapshot of the 28-day cycle you're in, pick lunar return. There's 3 options. And whoever books now will get their reading. I mean, it's open, so whoever books next will be next. And then the readings will go in the order they're received. And you can book more than one. So if you get natal and you enjoy it and you want to look at transits, we can always do that. Or if you were here last week or recently and you want to do another transit reading, you totally can. You can rebook as often as you want to. And we even had actually had another client do transits from the sun sign recently. So that's another way you can do if you want to. You just need to tell me in the chat. So I'm just hanging out until more people book. We talked about so much spiritual stuff today. It's been super fun. We were just talking about all the different kind of readings. I was talking about all the different kind of readings I've gotten. Yeah, Akashic Records is another one that I've gotten more than one kind. So, like, I've gotten it from someone who was like using their records as more of like a psychic reading. And then I've gotten it from someone else who she was also doing that, but there was a lot of energy work involved too. And I don't know how to explain why I know that. I could just feel the energy when I was listening to her talk. It was almost like channeling, but like, I don't know. It was good. Um, what else have I gotten? I've gotten, what are those cards? There's like cards. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Like you do this, you put in the info and you get like a card for your year. That's like you're in a Jack of Spades kind of year or something. I had a friend who had some free ones and she let me have one of those. But I don't remember if it was good. I remember it was like entertaining and fun, but I don't remember if it was like accurate. But I remember getting a numerology reading, but it was like an online one where you just figure out which number you are and they play a thing about you, and it was so true. And I even had a client actually say something to me in a reading. I don't even remember when this was. It was a while back. And she said she did numerology and she just talked about my chart for not my chart, but my numerology for a couple minutes at like the end of a reading. And it was like, she told me a certain age where my life would change. And I don't remember the age, but I remember it was the age that I started doing astrology. And I remember maybe I was 2 years into it then, I was still new-ish. But I remember being like, damn, how did you know that? Like, and that's how I feel like a reading is good, is that you're like, damn, how did you know that? That's a good reading. Speaking of good readings, you can get yours with me now. I'm not going to stay on too much longer. So if you do want your reading, you got to get it soon because I've been on for a while. And if people don't start booking here, I'll just come back tomorrow. But if you do book tonight, you will get your reading done now by me. And they're so fun. They're fun, and you get to pick natal, transits, or lunar returns. So if you're like new to me and you just want to know like what I see in your chart, natal is a good idea. If you're more interested in what the planets are going to have in store for you, kind of how the planets are influencing you now. That would be transits. Anurata is asking, would I ever do a video on annual perfections? Maybe, but I do feel like even though I've used this technique quite a bit, I don't feel like I nail it. You know what I mean? And I mean that in the sense that like I was actually reflecting on this the other day, like maybe actually that decision to focus on Western astrology, maybe I shouldn't be doing that, because I'm so intuitive that the perfections and the stuff, it's really heady, I mean, maybe I would, but I just feel like it's when it comes to those techniques, they're much better to just get a reading. Because in order to really understand, and this is where I struggle honestly with astrology and making videos and stuff, is like, in order to understand your annual perfections, we need to know what's in that house. We need to know what planets are in there, right? We can't just say everyone in a fourth house year deals with family, because one person in their fourth house, they might have Jupiter, and one person might have Mars and Saturn and Pluto. The person with Mars and Saturn and Pluto is going to have a shitty year that year. Period. It's not going to be easy. There's going to be some messed up shit happening every 12 years when those planets are activated. So I have a hard time explaining that stuff without feeling like an asshole, first of all. But then also, even if I think about my own chart, like this shit is disappointing. It's disappointing when you have the worst planet in your chart with a bunch of other planets, because that means that theme, the negative theme, is going to come up more often in your life. And that sucks. Right? And so it's like some people really do have worse charts. And so that's the hard part of explaining annual perfections. Yes, absolutely huge influence. Huge influence. I look at mine now before the year I'm going into. I look at the planet that rules the year. There's so much to annual perfections, but the thing is that if I were to do a video on this now, I would just be turning around and teaching stuff that's been taught to me that I paid for to learn. And I don't like to do that. I don't like to teach what I paid for from someone else for free on my YouTube channel, because it feels unethical it feels like stealing almost, you know? So unless I use this technique and learn it so much, I can talk about it like it's the back of my hand, you know? I mean, maybe I would do a video on it, but it's like, I don't know. I struggle with the teaching astrology stuff, like teaching too much of it without getting paid, because I don't like that. I can do readings for free, but teaching astrology for free, I don't like doing that because it's so hard. And it takes so much to learn that it's like, I don't know. I think that should be behind a paywall. But I've thought about doing that, or like the solar return chart, because that's another one that those two things really go together. Annual perfections and the solar return. It's like I always do them together with the person for their yearly readings. But yeah, maybe at some point, I think I'm trying to do shit that's not so hard, because like that's not so hard to learn. That doesn't take so much technique and knowledge to learn. I'm going off on this, but what else are we going to do right now? Because I think that when my videos were a little bit easier to consume, they were more popular. So for annual perfections, maybe I would introduce the topic, or maybe I would just do some fun, entertaining stuff about like my favorite techniques, or keep it a little bit lighter, right? Because a lot of the stuff I know about this is like too hard for most of the viewers, right? Like too much knowledge of astrology is required to do annual perfections well and not freak themselves out about what bad shit's going to happen, which is what I do. I mean, I'm in a year where Saturn's in the chart, but man, my last Mercury perfection, because I have Mercury conjunct Saturn in my chart, was the worst year of my entire life. It was so fucking bad that it's like, man, I have to do that again in 12 years. I don't want to do that again in 12 years. Yeah, so then sometimes it'll be like, I've actually had this happen with clients. I'm like, what happened 12 years ago? And they're like, somebody died. And I'm like, shit. Wow, how am I supposed to make them feel better about this upcoming year now? But then again, you know, I do feel like I can see when people are probably going to die. Not like always who, but like I can kind of have an idea now, and I don't like that. That's not what I got into this for. You know what I mean? I don't want to know if I'm going to lose my legs or fucking die or lose my parents. I do not want to know. Oh, cool. You discovered this by searching for random astrology subjects. You have so many great informational videos. Yeah, I don't mind teaching it. It just feels like when I get too heady like that, I start to lose people a little bit. There was a good probably 6 month or year period where I was doing a lot of chart reading videos of like study. And maybe I'll do some of this again because it's like, I've thought about this. I've thought about doing like, let me study this thing in astrology and just like this tonight, but I'm like studying something and you guys are just here, and it's like I'm just going to look at where this person's sun is and when this was activated and can you see what happened here? And the reason for it is not because I think it'd be so interesting, it's because I need to do the studying. And if I don't have it's like if there's people on the video, I can't just go do something else. I have to finish it. So it's not that I mind teaching as much as um, it is actually a challenge, if I'm being honest. What to put on the channel, what not to. You're not supposed to really teach. You're supposed to give people the what and why on the video and then charge them for the how. So how to read a solar return chart, how to read your annual perfections, those should be courses. And then what's an annual perfection? Why would you need to know this? Should be the video. Same with solar return, same with everything else. But I think for a lot of time, I didn't really know that when I was younger. So I would just teach people everything. And it's fine. It would be fine if my channel was bigger and I made a lot of money just doing that. I would be so happy. I would just teach you guys everything for free. But that's not where we're at the moment. Okay, you guys have a few minutes left. For anyone who has jumped on, who wants to get their reading tonight, you can. You can get a reading from me right now in real time by using the link in the top of the comments. You can choose natal, transits, or lunar return. So if you want to know about yourself, choose natal. If you want to know about the energies affecting you right now, choose transits. If you want a snapshot, an energy snapshot of your 28-day cycle, the one that you're in right now, pick lunar return. And I'm going to go soon if no one books. So someone book. Have you studied annual perfections? I have found that they're very accurate. But it's one of those things that to me, annual perfections works better if you know Hellenistic astrology because they're a Hellenistic technique. And most of my viewers are coming from a more modern perspective. So they're not going to be able to interpret it. Although I certainly could do a video on them. And yes, they have a huge influence. But that's like the good and the bad side of astrology is that shit that happened 2 years ago, those things are going to come up again. Life is going to happen in 12-year cycles. And there's other cycles too. But it's like, there's only so much that the annual perfections can like help with. And that's the thing is like we have to blend it, I think. We just have to blend it with modern sometimes because the modern astrology is where you get the potential to change. Where you get that, let's be our best selves. Let's make the most of this transit. Let's make the most of our charts. Which I know is what all you guys are doing. That's what I'm doing. Right? I'm not trying to feel bad about what's wrong in my life and where I'm limited. I'm trying to work on all the other shit. Or, whatever I can. All right, yeah, so this is going to be last call for readings tonight. I'll give it a few more minutes of me chit-chatting and rambling. And that's what we're going to do. I'll have to come back tomorrow. I was planning on it anyway, but I'll have to come back and do a live tomorrow and maybe even Sunday. Do I have, I'm just seeing if I have scheduled something because I can't remember. No, okay, so we'll do another live tomorrow. Maybe earlier in the day so people come to it. So if you're watching right now and for whatever reason you don't want a reading now, but you know you're going to want one tomorrow, then watch the channel and see if you're in the mood tomorrow. I'm just going to give a few minutes just in case there's one person out there that's like, wait, I'm booking right now. If you're booking right now, just put something in the chat and I will literally wait for you. But if not, I'm going to do my own YouTube binging. Because that's what I like to do when I have free time, is watch my own spiritual videos. I mean, I don't mean my own. I mean like watch ones that I like. I like to watch content that reminds me that I have a soul and that, we should listen to our emotions. And honestly, I used to be really into more of the self-development stuff that's like hustle and this is how you have a better life. And I'm really moving away from that because I'm already doing that shit. And I'm moving more into a time where I just want to be reminded that like I should be right here, right now. Like I'm going to hustle. I'm going to keep going, whatever. But I don't need to like have my free time be filled with that kind of stress, man. You know what I mean? Do you guys know what I mean? Do any of you guys, because I know some of you might be like I was, where you're like, I love personal development. I love listening to that shit. But I'm just going to be honest. And this doesn't mean you're doing this. I felt like during the times where I was listening to that stuff the most, I was doing the least. And it's almost like some of that content made me feel like I was doing better than I really was. It would almost give me like this high of like, rah, 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 go be a better self. Because I just didn't feel good about myself for whatever reason. I didn't like where I was. And I still am like working toward creating the future I want. I do not have it right now, but I'm just not in that place where I feel like I need to beat my own ass so hard. And I feel like it's okay to rest. I feel like you don't have to, because like some of the content out there in this kind of niche is like, move somewhere you don't know when you want to isolate yourself for 2 years and just work. And I'm like, how about no? How about we don't do that? How about we work and we just say no to people when they ask us to hang out and we don't want to? How about we just maintain relationships, because then when we are successful, we'll have fucking people in our lives instead of being all by ourselves. Like, hello. Anyway, I guess I realized some of this content, it was almost giving the high right? Of making me feel a certain way, but it wasn't necessarily developing me, right? This personal development wasn't developing me. Developing me is like, remembering to do Reiki and journal every day. That's going to develop me, not listening to some guy on fucking a podcast who's like, has a gym or something. I mean, I don't need that. Like, and a lot of this content has, maybe it's well meaning content that's geared toward people who aren't taking action. But I'm over here working my ass off. Like, I don't need that. I need content that's going to remind me that I'm okay the way that I am, that I have a soul, that my soul is going to go somewhere when I die, and that the things in life that are going to matter when I'm in heaven and shit. And I'm going to be like, yeah, my soul evolved all these ways. Like, that's forever. That's forever. When you learn to be nicer to people, that's forever. Your soul keeps that forever. And even if you have a breakthrough like in business or something, the version of you that exists now, that's forever. Anurada is saying, sounds like Andrew Tate type videos. I have listened to some of him. I do not agree with everything, obviously, right? Just the fact that he is like a pimp basically, and gets all this, like, tries to frame that in a positive way. And like, it's so weird because like his whole business depends on women, but then he doesn't have a very high opinion of women. It's like, this cannot be where the future is heading. And the fact that there are so many men that listen to him that like think this is good. I'm like, like half of what he says is good, but his whole, like, obviously I don't agree with what he says about women, and every woman I've met, like, I haven't met very many women who are like otherwise. But he says so many things that are true too. I think I did mention his chart in a video about Mars Saturn, because he has Mars Saturn. And the crazy thing is, when he went to prison, that square was activated. Straight up Mars square Saturn getting thrown in prison. Like, it cannot be more literal. Just, you want to go, but you can't. You want to act, but you're stopped. You're detained. Oh my God. Okay, I rambled. I rambled and I rambled and I rambled. I did not stop. And you guys have been so fun chit-chatting with me. This has been great. I'm going to come back tomorrow, probably in the afternoon, and hopefully get some more bookings. So I want to thank KJ for booking twice. If you're still here, that was a while ago. And to anyone else who is thinking about booking, there will be a reading tomorrow. And even if you know that you don't want to get a reading, it's great when you guys come to these, because then, people see them, the algorithm picks it up. It's exciting, the energy builds, and then it's shown to more people. So, yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly. You are so right. And, he does have a very interesting chart because motivational. It's that. I think it's Saturn in Sagittarius square Mars in Pisces, and the Mars in Pisces is conjunct Fomalhaut. And people with Mars conjunct Fomalhaut, sometimes they are either going to be like dancers or they're going to be fighters. I swear to God. That's Fomalhaut. It's a fixed star at 4 degrees of Pisces. Oh my gosh, yeah. I think I did talk about that, about like that, the Saturn and Sag, and how it's like very, has certain beliefs and kind of preachy and stuff. Totally. Totally. Okay. Have a beautiful evening. I will see you all beautiful souls in the next video. Good night, everybody. Have a good weekend if I don't see you, and feel free to come back this weekend. I'm going to do 1 or 2 more lives. Okay, we'll see you.